Ho, 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 and happy holidays, everybody, and welcome to my AEW Worlds End review, the final pay per view of the year. Chicago, Illinois, or I should say Hoffman Estates, Illinois, the outskirts of Chicago. And no, I did not go to this show tonight. Did I want to go? Yeah, but I had a lot of other things going on, stuff to take care of. So I was already kind of on the fence on really even debating to go to this show, especially how far it is to get to for AEW Worlds End. And honestly, I didn't even know the full card going into this pay per view tonight. Some things I guess were on Collision, and I don't watch Collision, so I didn't really know what was going on with half of these matches, or they were added at the last minute. And then again, I wasn't gonna watch Collision on Christmas anyway, so hey, some things I didn't really know going into this show, but it did look like a packed house here tonight at the Now Arena. Don't know if it's sold out or not, but this is another long show to get through, so let's get right into it. I'm gonna breeze past the pre-show matches because I did not even really watch this because it's the pre-show. But uh, from what I did see, I know they had Julia Hart and Sky Blue, which is from Chicago, versus Maya World and High End. I do know a little bit about these two, given that, which I guess you could say it's worked out well for them to get more appearances on TV and pay per views, given what they took the spot of what Tegan Knox and her tag partner, since they didn't want to do it, which it looks like it kind of hurt them in the long run. And I'm not gonna go too much into that, but it is kind of crazy that what Tegan Knox, who hasn't really been booked since leaving WWE, and then finally kind of gets the spot. And then, if you know how that whole fiasco and controversy went, then some say they kind of screwed themselves, especially getting paid from Tony and whatnot. So good for Maya World and High End for getting a spot, and just kind of consistently being on, I guess, either TV or some capacity with AEW. So good for them. But yeah, Julia Hart and Sky Blue won, so nothing much to say from there. The Grizzled Young Vets, I forget they were even still in this company. Zach Gibson and James Drake. Basically, Eddie Kingston went against Zach Gibson. Eddie Kingston won, so not much to say from there. Right after, GYV ended up attacking him, trying to choke Eddie with the scarf. Ortiz came out, chasing them off, which I don't even remember the last time I even seen Ortiz in this company, let alone I didn't even know if he was still here. I feel like it's been over a year or two. Even when Santana left and, went back to TNA, I don't remember the last time I even seen Ortiz on this show. So good to see him back, and I guess he'll be teaming with Eddie Kingston going forward. But I really forgot Ortiz even still worked in this company, to be honest with you. Rocky Romero and Mark Davis winning hits, Bandito and Mascara Dorada. Bandito and them won, so I didn't even see the match. I think the final pre-show match was Speedball, Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, Jack Perry and Luchasaurus versus Josh Alexander, Ricochet and the Demand, Bishop Khan and Toliona. I think Jack Perry ended up pinning Ricochet, so I guess they have a title match coming up this Wednesday for that national title. So, like I said, Jack Perry got the win. So, like I said, that's the pre-show. There's not much to say about this, but let's just get into the main show right now as we kicked it off with the finals, semifinals of the Continental Classic. I swear to God, I feel like this tournament sometimes is just a pastime to get through the rest of the month, especially during the holidays, and need something to play on TV. Maybe that's why I've seen so many tape wrestling shows in the past couple weeks right now. And like I said, this pay-per-view was live. I know the fans chanted, "Holy shit." Given the both of these guys right here with Okada and Takeshita, kind of crazy that both of these guys are going into the top two matches in the Wrestle Kingdom coming up next month. So get ready for that. But obviously, I'm sure a lot of people were looking forward into this match to see who was going to win, which I did enjoy this match. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to see this in general. But they had to get to the storytelling part later on within the match because obviously, you're going to see a lot of Rainmakers and what is it, the burning, I forget what Takesha's, Raging Fire and whatnot. 'Cause I know Okada tried to go for I know he went for what was it, like Rainmaker, but Takeshi countered with a Blue Thunder Bomb. Okada dodging a knee strike, hitting with a suplex stand right after. Takeshi tried to go for his finish, but Okada rolled out of it. He ended up hitting like a drop kick and stuff, but Takeshi hit with a Poison Rana. Fans was going crazy for this match. But then Okada ended up going for the screwdriver and the turnbuckle pad. Then, Don Callis was on commentary. Takeshi attacked him from behind. Okada he tried to hit him with the screwdriver. I guess it's like in front of the referee, but Takeshita ducked it, and I guess the referee had his head turn or his back turn, and I guess he would try to go fix the turnbuckle then, and Okada just end up hitting Takeshita with the screwdriver then right after, and then end up pinning Takeshita. So, like I said, this had to kind of do with the story and everything into this. So, Okada ended up getting the win, which I'm not surprised he went into the finals. I didn't think Takeshita was even going to win this. Some say because, hey, he won the G1. He may end up winning the Continental Classic because the guy's already IWGP World Champion right now. But I don't know, given they still have Okada with this title, and honestly, I don't even know why they're even still doing a tournament for this, given that last time I checked, I thought they unified the title back at All In when it was like the Continental and the International title, and then it was made into one belt, so why does it have to be separated to still continue the tournament? The tournament ought to be null and void at this point, given that you unified the title, but we're going to get into that a little bit later on, but we will see Okada later on in the show for the semi-main event. Next was the next semifinal match of Kyle Fletcher versus Jon Moxley. Moxley was very over here tonight. I will say this: the crowd was with him. I gotta say, I thought this was one of the best matches of the night. In a way, I gotta say I did enjoy this. Now, obviously, I'm sure everybody saw the spot, which I swear to have these guys in this company and throughout the show tonight were damn near landing on their head or their neck, but it was when like they were on the top rope. And Moxley, he did like I think it was like a backdrop onto Fletcher off the top rope, and you could clearly see Fletcher just land on his head. That was like a sleeper suplex it looked like, but he just landed on his head. I swear it looked very brutal, by the way. That just looked, god damn, I didn't even know if he was even going to get up after that. But that was a nasty looking spot right there. Obviously, Fletcher, the adrenaline going. Hopefully nothing's wrong with him after this match, but, Moxley tried to go for the stomp. He went for the pin, but it was still a kick out. Fletcher hit him like his big running kick into like a brain buster, but still another 2 count in. Fletcher, he ended up going to the turnbuckle pad looking for that screwdriver, but I guess he must have didn't watch the first match because Okada already had the screwdriver, and I guess he thought it was going to be in there. He kept looking for the screwdriver, but Moxley tried to roll him up then right after, go for like a sleeper. Fletcher, he got back out of it then, out of the hold, and then Moxley, he hit him with like a Death Rider right after. Moxley ended up firing up then, and then he put him into like an elevated Death Rider, and then put him into the sleeper, which he did pass out. But I guess I guess Kyle Fletcher is tougher than John Cena, since in the sleeper he didn't tap out, so he passed out. But it was kind of funny to see him 5 seconds later get immediately back up just to argue with the referee, and then attack Moxley's leg right after like his bad knee within the match, and then he walked off, which I thought was funny. Fans tried to say you tapped out when he clearly didn't tap out and passed out. So I don't know what these people were watching when saying that, but he clearly passed out and then woke up 5 seconds later. So I think it's kind of funny that happened. But I guess you could say Okada kind of screwed both Takeshita and Fletcher. Well, I guess the whole Don Callis family screwed themselves tonight, but you already screwed Takeshita by hitting him with the screwdriver, and I guess you kind of inadvertently screwed Fletcher by, I guess, still taking the screwdriver and threw it in somewhere. But then again, like, Fletcher should have known before going out here. Like, the last match was, Okada and him, so you didn't know that. I guess he didn't know that the screwdriver was back, but you should know he took it with him. But I don't know. I thought this was a hell of a match, though. I think this is one of the best matches of the night, if you ask me. But yeah, crazy stuff right here with Okada. Not Okada, but Moxley advance into the finals of the tournament later on. Next, the AEW Tag Team titles on the line. FTR versus the Bullet Club Gold of Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn in a Chicago street fight. I really had no idea why this match was happening, and I feel like this is going to be with a few matches on this show. One, I don't watch Collision, so I don't really know what's going on Collision, and maybe I guess I need to go back and watch it, because I didn't even know this was a match. Which at this point with FTR, I'm just kind of waiting for Edge and Christian to come back, because, like I said, I know they won from Brodito and took the titles off them, but now they're feuding in some type of blood feud with Bullet Club Gold here, Bang Bang Gang and whatnot. I know they ended up fighting throughout the crowd. I think it was like Dax or Cash. I know he ended up hitting a trash can over Gun's head, and he rolled all the way back to the ring from like the entrance area and whatnot. I know they tried to use the broadcast table, tossing him over it. FTR was taking out Robinson's knee. I think one of them was bleeding out like a belt shot. I know they just kept beating up Robinson. Gunn came back in with like a fire extinguisher, and I guess Wheeler ended up going through a table on the floor. He didn't have to using it. Then Juice had the fire extinguisher. He ended up spraying Dax with it then. And then he had him beat with his finisher. And then he took like a chair and hit him over his back several times with the chair. And he was going to do it again. But Stokely ended up getting involved in this match, taking the chair from him then. Juice tried to push. Which, by the way, this was I said this when watching this. I said he missed the whole fucking table. But Juice ended up pushing Stokely, which I guess he was going to go through the table, but he overshot it and ended up just landing by the announce table. So it looked brutal because it looked like he hit his head on it, but I was like, he missed the whole fucking table. And then FTR hit the Shatter Machine onto Juice right after. Austin Gunn tried to come back with a trash can, but they end up kicking him in the nuts then, and then Dax did a pile driver on him onto the trash can. And then they did a spike pile driver onto the belt. And then I think they did 3 spike pile drivers, I believe, out there. Which I thought that was kind of overdoing it. It's a street fight and everything. It would have looked more ridiculous if he kicked out of 3 pile drivers. That would have just looked fucking ridiculous then. But he had a pile driver on a trash can, then the title, and then one more. So he had 3 pile drivers out there. But the FTR didn't win the match. Like I said, it was a brawl. It was a street fight. I had really no idea this match was even happening or going on. So I don't watch Collision. And I know they talked about the Sports Illustrated Awards, which I see a lot of people say that AEW paid off Sports Illustrated. I did look up some of those awards, and given who I saw won, it was very pro AEW, and I thought some of it was ridiculous. Whoever won half of those, I'm sorry, but Rivalry of the Year with Hangman and Moxley was not. That is insane to me. That wasn't even a Rivalry of the Year, especially in this company. I'm sure people could name some others, but I don't know. I did laugh at some of those Sports Illustrated awards after reading it, because I know some of this is not true, but a lot of people feel like AEW. I'm like, why are they even highlighting this? I kind of wonder why, but hey, they won the award, so there you go. Next was the women's tag titles on the line, which then again, I didn't even know who they were going against. It was Willow and Harley Cameron, the Babes of Wrath, versus Mercedes Moné and Athena. Good to see Athena on pay-per-view again, which, at least she's out of Ring of Honor Purgatory for the time being. I don't have much to say about this match, because, once again, I guess they had some segment on Dynamite, and I must have missed it. I probably went to the bathroom, I guess, but I guess that's why it's a tag match. I figured Athena and... Not Athena, but I figured the Babes of Wrath were going to, retain anyways, given, it's their first title defense out there, so there you go. And then again, I knew they weren't gonna have Athena and Mercedes win the match anyways. It ended up with what was it? I think Willow ended up rolling Monet into a pin, and she looked shocked right after, as Athena looked pissed off at Mercedes then. So basically, I guess when you look at the whole story, and it's not much I could say about this match. Like I said, the champions got their first title defense right here, so I figured they were going to win. And I guess given that Mercedes got a pin right here, I guess obviously they're now showing the downfall of her, because I guess she's lost some of those titles already, I'm assuming. Listen, half those titles are meaningless anyway. It's only 2 or 3 belts that really kind of matter. The rest of the titles, nobody gives a shit about, okay? I'm not about to go into this. I think I've already went into this in the last review or two, so you already know how I feel about the meaningless belts that she has right now, so it's whatever. But the tag champs end up retaining their titles. Another match which I did not know was even happening was added at the last minute. Darby Allin versus Gabe Kidd. I knew Darby returned on Dynamite since they say he was medically cleared, and I swear to God, I thought it was Moxley that attacked him last Wednesday, but I guess it was Gabe Kidd, and he threw him down a flight of stairs in the same building which he was taken out before climbing Mount Everest in New York. But I guess they end up setting up a match then. Gabe Kidd, listen, I know he's in New Japan or AEW or Bullet Club or the Death Riders or whatever group he is a part of right now. I know he was just over there in New Japan, that World Tag League thing. But I guess now he's back to face Darby, and I swear I thought this was another no disqualification match. I will say this. Both of these guys beat the hell out of each other. Darby is just insane, so you don't know what he's ever gonna do. Because what was Kid ended up dumping Darby over the top rope, which I swear to God, he hit his head damn near onto the floor, which was insane. And Darby, I know he ended up slamming Gabe into the barricade and everything. Gabe ended up getting the steel steps and catapulting Darby into it, which knocked off one of the hinges of the steel steps, and he started bleeding right after. And then he licked the blood on his hands and whatnot. And he got a chair in. Kid tried to swing the chair at Darby, but Darby got out of the way then. Like I said, dude was just bleeding. He ended up seating Gabe onto the chair, and he did a missile drop kick from ringside off, which he started bleeding. Then he had a coffin drop onto the floor, which looked insane. Which after that, and he got him into the ring, and he went for a scorpion deathlock, but Kid got out of the way. He pushed him off. He pushed him off. Then Darby put him back into the scorpion deathlock. Gabe got out of it. I know he kept headbutting Darby right at. Like I said, these guys were beating the hell out of each other. Gabe tried to go for a clothesline then, and then try to go for a sleeper, but Darby ended up rolling him into a 3 count. So Darby got the win. So I will say this: I thought this was a no DQ, even though it wasn't, since they just bled and just start damn near using weapons out there almost. Because I didn't know what it was. I'll just say they beat the hell out of each other, but this match was literally added the last second. Darby just came back. I know he was injured during the whole Continental thing, so he wasn't medically cleared till now. And Gabe Kidd is in New Japan. Cause listen, the last time we saw this guy on AEW, he got dragged away in a body bag from a pickup truck a few months ago, and stuff. So, like I said, he just kind of pops in and pops out. So I'm assuming this is gonna continue, but for a match that really had no type of build going into and pretty random, they beat the living hell out of each other out here. This was pretty brutal to watch. I will say that. But I don't know why it was added. And speaking of more matches that was added for no good reason, we had got a Mixed Nuts Mayhem match between the Death Riders. This was a 4-on-4, by the way. Claudio, Yuta, Garcia, and Shafir versus the conglomeration of Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, who's not part of the group, and Tony Storm. Listen, it was basically a tornado tag. Okay, I don't have much to say about this. The crowd seemed to be with a lot of this match. Hell, fucking Claudio did a damn swing on Tony Storm. I'm sure a lot of people are going to talk about Tony Storm's gear, especially her pants or whatever they are. And listen, they're thick as hell. That's all I'm going to say. Thick as hell. But I don't know what, Tony Storm and Cassie did some dirty dancing tango thing out there, which they end up fighting people off with that. I know it was chairs involved. The crowd actually popped when Strong and Shafir were in the ring, because everybody knows that they're married and everything. So Shafir ended up kicking Strong in the head, and Strong ended up chopping her in the back, and then Garcia pushed them both out of the ring then. Storm ended up hitting a Storm Zero onto Garcia. Yuta ended up attacking Tony from behind. What was it? I know she had a hip attack onto Yuta right after. And then Mark Briscoe hit the Jay Driller for the win. So I really don't know why this match happened. This match was just to get people on the card. And then the rest of the conglomeration came out and celebrated, Willow and Harley. And then Mina and Luther came out and celebrated and talked about a triple, whatever they said on commentary. I'd have no idea. But yeah, I don't know why this match was here. It was just a tornado tag, and the crowd seemed to like it, so it is what it is. I don't got much to say, but it was just pretty random if you ask me. I know they're talking to Mercedes in the back. I guess she wants a match with Willow. Why am I saying Millie, Vanilli? No, that's a tape recorder. But no, she's going against Willow, though, this Wednesday. I guess there's a title on. No, I don't even think it's a title match. I think it's just a match. And she says she's going to beat her fucking ass since everybody wants to say fuck on this show. But hey, it's pay per view. I guess you can say whatever you want. But hey, the promo was whatever. Next was the AEW Women's title on the line of Chris Statlander versus Jamie Hayter, which this is again this whole feud must have been on Collision. Because I got literally no clue why this match was even happening. I was like, when did Jamie Hayter even become the number one contender? But I actually did enjoy this match, though. I don't really have much to say about it. I thought it was a great match. It did start off slow at first, but it did get better later on. I think one very brutal spot I thought was when they were at the top rope and Statlander did like a fisherman suplex on like onto the floor, like a sit down one off the top rope, which was very brutal. And then, like, Jamie Hayter, like, did, like, a big German suplex. It's like they both landed on their head damn near, which was pretty crazy. So, I really enjoyed this match. They were beating the hell out of each other out here. I know Jamie Hayter ended up doing Statlander's finisher out there, the Saturday Night Fever. Statlander ended up doing Hayter's finisher of the Haterade. Both of them were down in. They kept coming back, hitting each other with clotheslines. Hayter was, getting the upper hand and ended up picking up Statlander, but Statlander ended up slipping out of it and then just hitting Saturday Night Fever for the win. So, like I said, in his thing, I felt like the crowd was starting to die down a little bit more. They did react to a lot of the spots, but once again, this whole feud was on Collision, so I don't really know why. I didn't know why this match was happening because I was like, wow, I didn't know they had a title match coming up for this Saturday. I really didn't know, but then again, I didn't watch Collision, so I didn't know. It's like the whole feud must have been on Collision. The whole feud was on Collision. So I don't know much about it going into this. But nah, overall though, it was a really great match though. I just didn't know much kind of going into this. It was on Collision, so that's the whole thing. But like I said, Statlander does retain the title, so really great match though. Next though, we do move into the finals of the Continental Classic, which was Kazuchika Okada versus Jon Moxley. And going into this, I'm kind of looking at it like this is basically a heel versus heel match. I thought it was. I think I was more shocked by the finish of this, really. But going into this match, like I said, both of these guys are heels, so it's like, who do you really cheer for in this whole thing? But the crowd was very pro Moxley throughout the entire night, so I didn't know if I didn't think he was really going to win it, but the crowd, like I said, they were very pro Moxley out there, and it did start off pretty slow at first. But yeah, it did pick up like later on within this match. Like I said, I know they had like Okada like targeting Moxley's knee throughout this entire match, and basically even trying to distract the referee. Moxley kept coming back, and I'm getting like a power driver on him, which Okada was able to get out of it. Okada ended up hitting Mox like what was like a low blow. It didn't hit him with the Rainmaker, but Moxley kicked out then. And they talk about he kicked out his finisher. Moxley ended up low blowing Okada also, which he ended up smiling in. Like I said, these guys ended up like trying to screw each other over several times. Okada hit a drop kick in. Moxley, what was he hit him with like another like clothesline, but Moxley ended up hitting Okada with like a Death Rider then right after, and then hitting like his own clothesline, hit with another Death Rider then. He went for the pin, but Okada kicked out of it. Moxley ended up hitting the curb stomp, then the Death Rider again, then beat Okada clean, which I was actually surprised he won. I actually thought I was going to have Okada just win this whole thing 2 years in a row. I think now he's had this title. So here's the thing now, since Moxley is now the AEW Continental Champion, so this Unified Championship shouldn't even be really a thing at this point. Like, why did you even create the title if now someone else is the Continental Champion? So Okada just only has, the International title now, if I'm not mistaken. So why did you even create this Unified? Like say, if you're going to unify the titles, you should have got rid of these two titles. There was no point of even doing this tournament. I really didn't think it was, because why would you create a belt that's going to be formed into one belt just to separate the belt? Now you really have to separate the belts because Moxley is the new Continental Champion now. So I guess Okada's the international champion, and that the unified title is now defunct at this point. There's no point in even having his title anymore. Which, why did you even do that whole thing at All In now if you were just gonna do this later on, like months later? Like, this makes zero sense when you really think about it. So yeah, Moxley ended up winning against Okada clean. He is now the new AEW Continental Champion. The Death Riders came out and celebrated and hugged Moxley in. And then basically but Moxley ended up cutting his face promo in. And, he said the hell with all that. He held the title. This belongs to everybody in the tournament. This belongs to everybody that spent their hard-earned money that support pro wrestling. And, we got the hardest working pro wrestling. Like, the whole big rah-rah speech and everything. No one can fucking, stop us and everything. Just for his teammates and all this stuff. There's nothing else like AEW, and I give it 100% every time. So, like I said, this was basically now Moxley going into. I guess he's a face now. Like, this looks like they've gone into, since the crowd was very over with Moxley. So either A, it's just gonna be the Death Riders, which are heels right now, gonna end up turning on Moxley, or maybe the whole group turns face. That'd be kind of a swerve if that was something. If like the whole group just turned face, which is kind of crazy, even turn Moxley back into a face or even like a tweener now, given all the heinous stuff he's done and hold the company hostage with the title, even through last year and this year. But now I guess he's a face and he's cutting all these face like promos now. So I guess the Death Riders will be turning on him. I actually thought everybody would have turned on him if he actually lost the match. That's what I would have thought. But he won his match and they celebrated because, like I said, the Death Riders lost all earlier into the show. So it is interesting to see where this goes into. But as for like the match itself, like it wasn't bad. It was okay, but I was just more surprised that Moxley even won this whole thing. Like, I didn't really see him winning. So, like I said, the whole Don Callis family just ended up screwing themselves out of the entire night. But like I said, this whole title thing makes no sense. Or why did they even need to do this tournament again? I have no idea. So we'll see what happens next. But a lot of it just doesn't make sense. And especially when Okada, we already knew he was going to make it towards the end anyways. I'm just more surprised that he didn't actually win. I actually thought they were going to give it to him again this year. But in the main event, we finally get to the AEW World title on the line. Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland, who actually had like the Green Lantern coming out there. Jon Stewart Green Lantern had the ring and everything. I'm surprised he didn't go out there and recite the oath. Versus Hangman Page versus MJF. I don't have much to say about this match. It was going to be a triple threat match at first, but MJF ended up returning last week and cashing in his contract thing, making it a fatal four-way match now. I'm not gonna go through everything, but what was it? Like obviously, there's a lot of double team moves, guys diving on the outside of each other. Um, what was it like? Paige and Swerve and ended up fighting to the outside. Then Joe ended up diving on the both of them. Hangman did like a moonsault, which he missed the whole thing really. Hangman, I know you ended up trying to pin Swerve in, but Joe ended up breaking it up. Joe got MJF in the Coquina clutch then. Ref was checking him after that, but Swerve ended up kicking Joe to break it up. What was it like? Joe ended up taking out both of them then. Like hitting two kicks, which MJF came in, then, hit Swerve in with a forearm, did like the damn Panama Sunrise then. Hangman ended up breaking it up, tried to go for like MJF right after. Swerve ended up taking down Joe like a DDT, didn't like the house call. But then next, like the ops came out and they ended up beating up everybody. They ended up going out like Hobbs, Hook, and Shibata, which I thought it was kind of odd because like they beat up Swerve and MJF and tried to go after Hangman also, and even like distracting the ref and everything. And he was going after Prince Nana. Swerve ended up taking one of them out with the Swerve Stomp. Page ended up like taking down Joe, which is the thing though. If this is a no DQ and it's a fatal four-way match, how are the ops even getting thrown out of the match? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it. Because we've seen the Death Riders come out and the rep damn near did nothing, or he was already on the ground at that point. But this is a fatal four-way, so anything can go in this match. So, like I said, and the ops is pretty useless right here, anyways, given what happened later on. But then like what Page ended up attacking Hook in right after. Joe ended up getting a Coquina clutch on the Page with Swerve, ended up hitting like the Swerve Stomp. And then, like I said, the reps are getting distracted by the ops trying to throw them up out of there. Swerve ended up powerbombing Joe, and then the stomp, but MJF just got back up and ended up knocking Swerve to the floor. Then Hangman ended up throwing MJF out of the ring, and then he had like damn near like 2 buckshot lariats. Joe is still standing. He goes for like a third one, but MJF ended up knocking Joe out of the way, kicks Hangman in the balls. Then right after throws him out, and it hits the Heat Seeker like pile driver for the win. So MJF is now the new AEW World Champion. Which I guess they didn't want to waste that contract. And listen, MJF is probably one of the best things you have in this company right now. Because one thing about him coming back is that it does help the main event scene right now. Because the main event scene was kind of lacking. Looks like I said, I had no problem with Samoa Joe being the world champion, but given the challenges he had, who else did he really have? Like Swerve came back, so at least that was a challenger there. Hangman he already beat, so who else was Samoa Joe gonna really face? And honestly, no, at first I was actually gonna say, did he only have like really one title defense? And he only had the title for a month. I'm actually surprised Samoa Joe got pinned right here. Some people believe that because Joe's supposed to be maybe retiring the next year or two, that maybe this is like one more title run or something. But and then again, this ops thing don't even make sense now because like, what good were these guys? Some say it's basically like the damn Death Riders out there when you really think about it compared to them. Does Joe really need an army like that to protect him, to keep him world champion? Not really. I'm actually surprised that he was pinned, so they were kind of useless within this match. But he only had like maybe one title defense, I believe, and what he beat who Eddie Kingston. That's not really saying much. Okay, so this wasn't really a good title reign all. And this was the second title reign too, so it really did suck. He didn't do that much with it. So, and then you had like 50 other guys that were dressed in ops shirts. I'm surprised they didn't send those guys out there to help. So, yeah, MJF being the world champion again. I guess this is his second title reign now, also too. So, we'll see where that goes since he's the champion. Like I said, they didn't want to waste that whole contract thing. Me personally, I thought Samoa Joe was gonna retain the title. I didn't think MJF was ever gonna get pinned in this match. They probably would have just pinned Hangman again, honestly. But it could have gone either way. But I didn't really think Samoa Joe was gonna get pinned right here. So yeah, MJF is the champion again. So we'll see what happens next. But yeah, that much of a title reign for Samoa Joe, kind of a bit of a waste when you really think about it. Honestly, this was another long AEW pay-per-view. I did think it was a bad show. I did keep me up basically throughout a lot of the show. I didn't really feel like too tired or bored of it, but there were some matches that didn't really need to be on this card, or they were just added just for the sake of it. And then again, once again, I'm sure a lot of these feuds took place on Collision, so I didn't really have much care kind of going into it or wonder why this match was even on the card. So, like I said, when I went into this pay-per-view, I really didn't know all the matches. I only knew like 3 or 4 matches. I only knew the tournament matches. I only knew the AEW World title, and I knew the women's title was on the line. Like the tag team titles, the women's tag team titles, Darby and Gabe Kidd, the whatever mixed nuts match, whatever. I even think that was like sponsored by a beer, I guess. I don't even know what that was. Like I said, I didn't even know all the matches going into this. So, like I said, it was a good show. I don't think it was a bad pay-per-view. It was good. It was just very long. So it's like some of it was good, but like I said, some of it I didn't really care for. Like it may have been a good match, but it's like, why did I need to see this on the show? So it's like it is what it is. But hey, MJF is the new AEW World Champion again. So we'll see what that goes into going forward and what happens this Wednesday on Dynamite. Other than that, though, like I said, not a bad show. Um, yeah, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, HoodedKnight890. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell. I will be having an end of the year review pretty soon. Don't know when. I got to get my notes compiled together because I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about. What happened in the world of wrestling throughout the entire year. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot of topics to tackle on to, whether it be WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, obviously, just from what the companies have done. TKO, the whole John Cena retirement run thing would be something to talk about. But honestly, I've already kind of talked about it. My co Straight Face 40. Go check that out online right now in the final match of John Cena review from Saturday night's main event. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stories and matches to talk about. Like I said, it's going to be a lot to really speak on because I'm sure, like I said, it's going to be a lot of topics. Would it be like what? TKO prices or the death of Hulk Hogan or maybe the Roger Jackson situation. Like I said, I gotta get my notes together and see what I'm gonna go all over for this entire thing. But I'm sure it's gonna be a lot to speak of the good, the bad, and like I said, everything that happened in the world of wrestling throughout the entire year. So yeah, we'll have an end of the year review pretty soon. But other than that, though, this was the AEW Worlds End review. So yeah, other than that, we out of here. See you guys later, and happy holidays out there to everybody. So, yeah, peace out.